Or a bit louder.
Okay.
Okay, much better. Yeah, greetings to all the pastors and the ministers and to you, Pastor. Firstly, thank you so much for such an empowering word. I think three things that stood out for me. The first one is concerning the children's ministry. The aspect of having the children in the church as opposed to having them separate. And I think I get the heart of why it is necessary. However, I'm caught up in terms of logistically managing it, in terms of being pragmatic about it, to say maybe we took them aside so that somebody can be able to manage them and so on. So that's the first one about them. Then the second one will be the issue of genealogy of the ministry. I don't know if in terms, sometimes when you are connected to a ministry, for instance, we have ministries that broke out of other ministries. How do you connect that as a genealogy? And how does it affect inheritance if it does even go to that extent? I just wanted to get in terms of, what's the benefit of the genealogy, or is just to know where it comes from, or are we inheriting something from that genealogy as well? I don't know if it goes that far.
Just to make some clarity, when you're talking about genealogy, you're talking spiritual?
Yes.
Or you're talking biological?
No, spiritually. Yes, for the ministry to say that. Yes.
Okay, and how you need to stay connected? What do you do?
So the question is, so you say that it's important for us to know the genealogy of the ministry, like we know our family tree, for instance. So I'm saying that things happen. So some ministries have moved out of other ministries.
More what?
Or the harsh word I was avoiding broke away, from. Sorry? Simplify. Yeah. So if the ministry, for instance, if I was in this church and I decide to break away from this church, now I understand that this church had the founder and so forth, but if I break away, how does that affect my genealogy in a sense? Yeah.
Very good question. First of all, I just want to emphasize the principle, and that is, there is no such a thing as children's church. There is only one church. Children and adults are part of the church. You understand? But for convenience sake, like for instance, if you want to really do some work amongst children, what we used to have is Sunday school, remember? That's different. But you don't have Sunday school while the adults are meeting. The children must be in the house. Historically, how this genealogy amongst the Jews and Israelites, it was perpetuated by family gathering, and children would end up asking, but Father, why are you doing this? Then it was a beautiful opportunity for the father to say, the reason why we got 12 stones here, and you watching me placing the stones and keep coming to the stones that stands here, it's a memorial stone. But what happened? Why you got 12 stones? Then the answer would be, and you know what the answer is, from the river they had to pick up 12 stones when they were crossing the Jordan, and how God caused the river, flooded river, to stand still, accumulate and not move, until as the ark was lifted by the Levites and the priests, they took the people across. And the 12 speaks of the 12 tribes that makes up the genealogy. Very important. From the time of Abraham, genealogies were really recorded. Before that, from Noah, the rest of those. In fact, you notice in the Bible, from the flood to Abraham is only 11 chapters. 12th chapter starts with Abraham. It's very fast in 11 chapters. But when you start from number 12, it goes slowly. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. So up till now, many Jews all over the world, they know which tribe they come from. They're all over the world, but scattered. But they know from which tribe. Today, fellows living in Perpetuation, they don't know the uncle, father's eldest brother. You see? So in the church, that has to be kept, right? But to answer the second question in line with the first question, good question you asked, there are some sons who will be like the prodigal son. He meets his friends from outside. These fellows have no genealogy. I don't think they have fathers, the fellows who were passing his house to visit him. They are accountable to nobody. So when they come there, they see this fellow is milking the cow 4 o'clock in the morning. And these steps say, hey, what's wrong? You're a slave or what? The old man is killing you. Look at us. We got no worry, no care. You know what I mean? The hooligans will always come and do that. They got nothing else to do. Don't let the pastor talk to you like that. You see, to me, I'll do my own thing. So this fellow, in the meanwhile, he heard all this thing, it didn't bother him. But they continued reminding him. So one morning, to illustrate this, it was 4:05, and his father comes to his room sleeping and says, what's wrong with you? 5 minutes late. The cows are waiting to be milked. Then it hits him, what his friend said. Then he goes grudgingly. That day he's not milking the cows, he's hurting the cows. He's angry. You see, perspectives doesn't come from the eye, although it is to do with seeing, but seeing comes from hearing. It is the ear gate that gives perspectives. It's not you think spiritually you're going to just see. You know, like a prophet. You know, a prophet is a seeing man. You know what I mean? But his sight, a prophet, his sight comes from hearing. He hears the voice of God. Do you understand? And he not only he has a word for speaking to people, but he understands the dynamics. His perspectives are very clear and accurate. Let me illustrate this since you asked, and it bears a lot on what the question is here. If you don't get your perspectives right, you'll be inaccurate in your activity. All your actions, because your understanding is poor. Let me illustrate this, right? Perspective again. Politically, when you ask people today about all the problems we are facing in South Africa, people will tell you, no, man, the ANC government is a problem. See, that's a perspective they got. ANC is a problem. But some will say, no, not ANC. ANC, these people are our deliverers, man. You know that what happened, only in 1994, we got our freedom. Before that, what happened to us? It was the apartheid government, man. You see, they put their chest out and say they got a better perspective. But you see, somebody else's perspective will be, Uh-uh. It is not the apartheid government. It's 1652 when Britain and the Dutch came first and the British came here. That's when the trouble started. You see? But really speaking, that's also limited. That's not the problem. The problem was, if I can quickly go back, it all started in the Garden of Eden. Because really speaking, if you want to solve the political problem, you've got to get God back to rule the earth. And when he told Adam and Eve, what was his mandate? Have dominion over the earth. Take care of the earth. Don't let the sea get polluted. Don't let the water get polluted. Don't, you know what I mean? Don't kill each other. Take care. Take care of the earth. God didn't say form a political party. God said you take care of the earth. Unfortunately, our perspective must be the fall of the human race. The first murder took place in the first family. Cain killed his brother. Murder started then. What you're saying now, violence starting now. Violence started there in the garden. Didn't start now. So our perspective must be clear. We see because we hear correctly. It might be difficult as you started with the children, separated because of convenience. And remember, there's something else coming up now. Yeah, you must let conviction override convenience. You work with conviction, you'll get it right. If you work with convenience, everything will be convenient. That's why you leave your wife, it's convenient. And go get another woman, because it's much more convenient. You see, conviction has to override convenience. So in a church, don't talk about convenience. We are not called to be convenient. It's a price to pay. Conviction causes you to pay a price. And I still, as I told you, I'm going to be 75 years old. It's convenient for me to stay at home when they're having, end of this month, junior youth camp conference. But convenience doesn't benefit the human race. Conviction, that's foundational. So, get the conviction right. If it's right, you got it right, you'll know how to deal with this inconvenience problem. Get the children inside. Let the children ask, Uncle, but why they doing this? Why? Then you can tell them. You see, you don't wait for a lesson, a classroom to teach. When questions come up, that's a good time to teach. So let them be part and parcel of the church. You come to my church, especially the one here in Chatsworth in Soulshaven, on a Sunday morning, it's a whole family coming together. Family, when they're coming in. Not. And I watch when I go that morning to church, there's a chair at the back door for me before I go sit in the front, you know. I sit in the back and I watch. It's a joy for me to watch my grandchildren, leave alone other children, my grandchildren. They're all hanging around by the door there. Why? They're waiting for the other children from the car park to come into church. And their mothers have got babies, and they run to grab the baby. And they walk in. But they already finished Sunday school in the morning. But now it's church time. People are coming. And the children. And in my church, the children can run around. when there's no service. When the service didn't start. They can run around and play with each other. Nobody goes and shouts. You see, we come from a generation in the past, the old bullies used to sit in the front like big shot, like policemen. You understand? So what they used to do, I grew up in that environment. And they would sit in the front there, and then when children come early and they want to sit in the front there, they say, wake up, uncle came here. Uncle, you must give uncle the seat here. So they put the uncle there. Grey-haired, balded man sitting in the front. Right. Then they go to the back row. Then they say, another uncle came. You have to wake up from here. Then they go to the last row. From the last row there, they eventually say, hey, you children, why you go play outside? And then from outside, later on when we ask today, you know what we're asking the children of South Africa today? How did they get to the streets? We sent them there. We sent them there. Because we got no time. There's no family anymore. Children don't look forward to be at home because they don't feel loved at home. So in the church, even so. So just perpetuate genealogies by making the children part and parcel of the church service, whatever is happening. And let them observe. Let them ask questions. Don't tell a child when they're asking questions, hey, don't make noise, don't ask questions. They must ask questions, then you can sit down and tell them, take it. And that is what people, in fact, other older cultures from where we come from too, that's how it was. They used to explain to us how the tree grows and how the tomato grows and how the potatoes grow. You see, today, children knows nothing. They're only pressing button on the phones and playing around. And they're watching all nonsense. So in the church, don't get the church service and empty the children. And they actually send the children away, man. When I don't know what kind of a life you have without children in the church. In the conference. Let them come. Jesus said, forbid them not. But you see these chaps, Peter and them, they come from the generation where they thought they were the big shots. Forbid them not, for of such is the kingdom of God. That's when it starts. They become future leaders. Now. Start now with them. Don't delay. In South Africa, I'll tell you something. We neglected these children. We neglected the children. And we also politically, we used the children. Politically. We used the children. Then you want to know why there's so much violence. You taught them to do these things. Politically. You can't solve a problem like that. You can't. Can't teach children to gather stones. You can't teach children to gather tires. You can't do that because that stays with them. And their children watch that in their photographs and albums. So they're collecting tires. You see, we must not do that. Solution. Ultimately, we know it's Christ in us, the hope of glory. The world doesn't know that. So that's okay. They don't know. But we know. What's the answer? That is the gospel. That's our job. You're called for what? To change the world. To bring this fallen nature of human being back to before Adam and Eve violated the law, the word of God. Don't eat from that tree. To bring them back. And that's what's going to happen ultimately on the earth, by the way. Yes, according to the Bible, the promise is yes. We won't have pollution. We won't have viruses. We won't have bacteria that are killing us. We'll have good bacteria. You understand? So, let's work with our children. These other people, one leg is already in the grave. I went to a church, threw the pastor out. Where's Pastor from Harding? Right? Oh, sorry. He came and introduced himself. He asked me if I know so-and-so. He come from Harding. And he remembers the Jacob family from there, a Governor family. And I know Jacob and others. And Pastor Patrick Governor, by the way, he met his wife Margie in Harding, went and married there. Lately, the other day, I did the funeral service of Margie's sister, younger sister Caroline. And Ruby is here. Where's Ruby? Sorry, Ruby. Where are you? Put your hand up. There in the back. Ruby. Sorry, I need to see where she is. She not well or something? I think it's important for her to hear because we're talking genealogy. She's not well. Eh? Okay. Hope she can hear me. Her mother comes from Harding. Married to her father late. And I buried them both. I was there as a pastor over their lives. And this is what it's all about. You know, there are a connection of genealogies, but it starts. Then Pastor Patrick Governor eventually came to Peter Marisburg. I had to go to a church in Peter Marisburg because the church council or church board, or whoever they are, you know, they threw a senior pioneering pastor who went to Peter Marisburg to build a church called Souls Harbor. I was sent to Peter Marisburg while I am busy building another church in Stanger, planting a church there. I had to leave right in the middle and go there. When I got there, I wanted to meet the leaders of the church and ask them what happened. Why did you all do this to this senior man? You know what was their response? They said, no, man, he doesn't, when the church is over, he doesn't close the windows of the church, doesn't lock the church, he doesn't shake people's hands. So they had a meeting and they took him out. And he started the church. So I had to go there. So when I decided to go and visit these guys first before I didn't know where they lived. So I had two young men, youth, in the church there to show me the house of the leaders. So he showed me one at a time. I went to one leader's house. In fact, he was a main actor, I think. I went to his house. But I see the whole gang there, sitting there already. I wanted to ask them, what happened? You know what was the answer? This is the answer. This is the reason. I was maybe 25 years younger than them. And I didn't realize, only afterwards I realized this, because these two young men did not want to come inside. They were scared. They were not used to coming and confronting somebody like that, you know. So I said, no, don't sit in the car, come with me. Sit inside with me. I want to ask them a simple question. And this is the answer they gave. He doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. And then I said, isn't that immature of your... Then it hit me, something wrong with the church. Got big shots in the church. They think that's what they are there for. That's when my bus stop in my ministry started, when I realized that the children and youth are neglected. And big shots like this have been killing our children, destroying our children. As we started working with children after that, I had a meeting with the church. Whoever was left, out of about 100 or so people in the church, left with 8 people when I had to go there. When I went there, I addressed them. Others started coming in slowly. I addressed them and I told them, look, I want to let you know from the beginning. I'm going to give my time, my life, my energy to children and youth. You can work with me, or you can decide what you're going to do. I'm giving you a warning before. And some of them are very upset and they went away. But later on they came back. And I started working with young people, with children, Sunday school, children's ministry. It became the largest children's ministry in the whole of the city of Peter-Marisburg. Later on, pastors like Pastor Tamu Naidu, he told me when he met me after many years, he said, when I introduced myself to him and so forth, he said, I know you. I said, but I didn't know you. I didn't meet you. I was in Marisburg. He said, no, I heard about you as a little boy. I heard about the largest youth group and children ministry in the whole of Peter-Marisburg. Today, Pastor Mervyn has got his own church sitting right here on my right. Pastor Baji, he's got his own church as he's sitting next to you there. Pastor Munyan also connected to his brother and other youth were there. Who else from Peter-Marisburg is here? Huh? Matthew is in the back. He is also in ministry, full ministry. Now, I can give you many examples. You've got to raise a household and future leaders in your house. That's what church is all about. So, it's not convenience. It must be conviction. What is the burden? And a lot of people won't like you for it. Doesn't matter. Implement it. And don't let these kind of cardboard gangsters in your church dictate to you. You've been called by God. You carry out your mandate. Even if you're the last man standing, do it right. Okay, have I answered your question? Okay. Anybody else? This and that mic, sorry. Sometimes it takes so long to explain. Sometimes your question might be not for you, but it might be for somebody else. If you don't, anybody? Is there a mic this side? Oh, I thought you had your hand up. Did you have? All right, go ahead, Pastor. I think it's on.
Yesterday, I was approached yesterday. Yeah, or asked the question, or that you raise up sons. You're speaking of spiritual genealogy. You raise up sons or daughters in the house, and then once you've grown them up, they abandon you and start their own ministry, disconnecting themselves from you. But you've raised them up in the house. How do you handle that kind of thing, or how do you see that?
Thank you very much. That is also the question my brother asked. Similar. I think I was talking to you about the son, prodigal son, who packed his bag and wanted to go. The father didn't make a fuss when he wants to go. Because the Bible describes this parable. It's a parable. And the father in the story is God the Father. You understand the parable? And God the Father wants also human fathers to be like him. Because fathers are not supposed to be overly emotional. They have emotion. And that's where people misunderstand men. Think you got no feeling. That's why husbands and wives have fight. Say you got no feelings. But a father is a father. My father used to lock my mother up in a room before he gave me hiding. I still got marks. Yeah. See, from scars you get stars. My father gave me a hiding because he knows my mother will come in between. And that's what happens very often in a church. There are some men are more emotional than women. And that's why we have a gender problem today. The father in this picture, if I can imagine in the story, the mother must have gone and pleaded to the son, crying. You know what I mean? Son, don't do this. Don't leave the house. And tell him everything. I love you, my boy. Stay here. And you see the boy is still. Where's the father? Father has gone to take the bag in the bedroom somewhere to help to pack. But the mother is pleading. And then pleading to him and see the father going to get the bag. What do you bring the bag for? You got no feeling. What's wrong with you? This and that. But the father is there. Fellow made up his mind. He wants to go. You can try to convince him. He must have tried to convince him. But when he knows, when the father knows that this fellow made up his mind, nothing is going to change. So he sends him, and he wants his inheritance. He wants the money. So he wants his inheritance. Normally, in a will, your inheritance comes to play when the father dies. This fellow wanted it while he's living. That's what happens to sons in the house, spiritual house. They want it before the father dies. And what happens? Let's follow this boy. Where he goes? He goes and spends his inheritance. We talk about legacy now. What? Material thing. He lost his spiritual thing. He's lost his genealogy. He's cut his genealogy. He got the inheritance. What is his inheritance? His gifting. He knows how to sing. He knows how to play guitar. Because the pastor there in the other church saw him playing guitar. Yeah. I'll give you a story that actually happened in Phoenix. Not in my church, but somebody, a pastor, saw a young man in the plaza and says, "Hey, boy, where are you now? What are you doing? I saw you playing guitar there." He says, "No, I'm not more there now." You know? Hey, this pastor tells this young man, "I got a brand new bass guitar waiting with your name on it." And so, any case, this prodigal son now is gone, got the money, spending it. Bible says, riotous living. In other words, riotous means wild. No control, no governing body, no nothing. Riotous, anything goes. Drinker, whatever they went to the city and spent the money. As his money went, his friends also went. You see, the people that influenced the sons of the house or the daughters of the house outside there, they disappear after a while. They leave you in the lurch. But this boy doesn't know about this. He was under the father. So when he goes out there, he forgot that there will be a time of famine. Not just lost your money. Even if you had money in famine, your money is useless. So you're gifting. You think it's a currency. Relationship is the currency of the kingdom. Not your gifting. By the way, we're talking about gifting. Please don't emphasize your gifting. Your gifting God gave you. Personality gift and other gifts, spiritual gifts too, God gave. And gifting God doesn't take away back from you. It's a gift He gave you. So you got nothing to worry about your gifting. It's there. But it is character you must build. Character. Build character. So therefore, in a church, pastors teach people about character. You don't have to worry about the gifting. Because the fella who can sing so well and play the guitar or the keyboard so well, he can be a scoundrel. But when he comes here, people cry when he sings. Because he's still got the gift. But his character is gone. He's having an affair with another woman. But yeah, when he's playing, he's lying, cheating, robbing everybody. But his gifting is still there. Because God gave the gift, He doesn't take it back. So he goes now, finds himself hungry. For a while he lasts a little bit. Then he starts now begging for a job so that he can eat. One farmer said, look here, I can't even give you food. I can't. If you want to, I got pigs. And you know all the rotten stuff the pigs get, you know. Now, in good times the pigs have good enough. But famine time, you must remember, it's less. So he tell him, look after the pigs. And what if the pigs leave anything behind? You know pigs don't leave anything behind. You can eat what they eat. When I read this when I was young, again I'm reminding you about this, all of you must think about it. When I was young, my perspective was, when the Bible says that no one gave him to eat, I thought the Bible was referring to people. No, it was referring to the pigs. The pigs didn't give him anything to eat. Then he came to himself. The computer box. You know why people are not grateful? Stop being grateful? It's a loss of memory. Loss of memory. It's one of the very serious characteristics that rob a lot of people when they forget. It is memory that is so critical. A memory bank, you know something? In your cell phone, your computers, it's called a hard drive. And one of the things in the hard drive is what? Memory. Storing memory. When viruses hit your computer or your phone, one of the things goes is memory. You lose what you stored. When you forget, you lose your gratitude and gratefulness. So people do that when they leave the church. They forget you were the one who was there, you know, when you was dedicated as a baby. You was the one who was there who later on had to take him out of jail, paid your money to take them out of jail. They forget you were the one eventually had to speak on their behalf in a marriage relationship to get him married. You were there to save him from this and that. They forget memory loss. Now they have an attitude, not gratitude. It happens. But you as a father, spiritual father, don't become bitter and angry. So the son now is with the pigs. Memory comes back. What was the memory? It's amazing. He says, my father's, you see the calculation here and evaluation? My father's servants, they're working for him, they have more food to eat than me. So what I'll do? I'm going to get up from here. What I'm going to do? I'm going to go to my father. And I'm going to tell my father, I have sinned against you. And I have sinned against the Heavenly Father. I'm not worthy to be called a servant anymore. In other words, don't put me in the praise and worship team. Or don't make me an elder in the church. I am nothing. I just want to be a servant. When he remembers, there's plenty of food in his father's house. Let them come back. But you do not harbor grief, grievance, bitterness. Because bitterness will destroy you. I've seen many pastors, they can't handle it. They become bitter. Stop working. They stop working with children. They stop working with young people. Ungrateful. They call them bees, you know what I mean? F and Bs and so forth. First National Bank. Now, if they have an opportunity to come to a place, and I've seen it in my over 50 years of ministry, of many people make the journey back home. But I see the real father, he sees his son coming far away. Why? How did this father see the other son coming far away? Because he was watching out for him every day. That's all you have to do. The mother must have said, I love you, son, stay, this. When he didn't listen, emotion changes. Now she says, you rotter, I hope you die, man, don't come back. Carried you for 9 months, I suffered with you, and this is what you're doing to me. That's what mothers do. That's what emotional people do in a house. But a true father watch his son coming. The son says, I'm not worthy to be called your son. Make me a hired servant. The father gets him, kisses him, puts his arm around him, and already his servants were instructed to put a certain calf away, fatten it, long before the son started coming home. He was already prepared for the son. And that's how a true father is. He stays put and he waits. He doesn't run after the son when he wants to go. Let him go. But if he comes to his senses, memory comes back, and his attitude will change. I'm no more worthy to be called your son. But the father's heart is, you're still my son. There's a party going on. Party is on now. The older son now, here's another problem in the church. It's the older sons. He's hearing music. He's asked the servants, what's happening in this music? Where is it coming from? No, don't you know? Your brother, man, your younger brother. You know the one who ran away. He's back. Your father is having a party. Don't you know you should come and join your father? He says, no, I'm here all the time working like a dog here. That's another problem in the church. Older brothers, they don't have the heart of the father. That is why they don't help the church. They don't understand. They don't understand the heart of the father. They will complain, how? We were here all this time, you never give us a party. So the complaint of the oldest son went to the father. Father went to look for him, says, hey, boy, what's wrong with you, man? All what I have is yours. I didn't have to have a party for you. But your brother, he was lost, and now he's found. He was dead, now he's alive. Come and celebrate with. That was actually, first of all, speaking about Israel, the children of Israel. Really, that parable points to Israel, the son. And that's why Israel, up till today, the Jews, they don't appreciate the church of Christ. Because they still think they are the children of Abraham. They don't understand that God the Father used the Jews to produce a Savior, to bring the world back. That's who the Jews are. They were just a nation that was used to produce a son. So when you understand the big picture and the dynamics of what a church is all about, we will stop playing games. People will leave. Even your own biological home, your son or your daughter, you give them all the best, but they can turn their backs on you and hurt you. But stay your ground. Keep the love consistent. Okay? I hope I answered the questions. Is it okay? Anybody else have a question? Yes, send that.
And to you, Pastor Isaac. The question I have, I think you might have covered it in part, about these illegitimate sons that go from place to place destroying the kingdom of God. But my question is more because we are pastors here today, and we have somebody under discipline, and we've correcting them, and we've asked them to take their position of being disciplined, and you follow the due process, and then they leave the house, and they go to some other house where, without any type of understanding, they take these people who are under correction under their wing, and it's part of the problem that's eroding the discipline that we want to establish in the church. How do you deal with these type of issues, when it comes to the body of Christ?
Good question. Very, very relevant. In fact, really speaking, really from my perspective, I feel very sorry for that church and that father, because they're opening the doors to corruption. They're setting a precedent without asking. I don't know if you know, we come from a generation, I think all cultures, Indian culture, white culture, black culture, colored culture, whoever culture we have in South Africa. If a son runs away from home and he goes to our uncle's house, that uncle will say to him, sleep here tonight, have a meal. In the morning, I'm going to take you to your father to find out what happened. But pastors are bastards. They are not fathers. Because they are true fathers, they will counsel them. And they'll also be wise fathers, will say, if you're doing it to your own father who raised you up, what are you going to do to me? But you see, the devil has shanghaied them. Can see. They thought now luck came away. But they don't know the destruction. the consequences. There's no etiquette. There is no integrity. There is no ethics. Ministerial ethics. It's not wise to do that. Don't put the red carpet. And I know of scoundrels that were disciplined men. They are jumping on the platform from one house straight away in another house. And our teaching here is going viral, loud, it's gone. And I hope that others are listening to this. Not only you listening to it, others are also listening. And I'm not scared. You know why I'm not scared? They can't kill me. You know why they can't kill me? I'm dead. How can you kill a dead person? So yes, just carry on with your work. Stay focused. Cry for one night if you want to allow it. That's what used to happen to me in my early ministry. I used to cry. You know those days when I was hurt by people? I can't sleep. And those days when TV came from 1976, TV came. So I'll stay awake until that round ring comes on the TV. SABC, what? SATV. Huh? Epilogue. Then after I sleep, you know. And that too, I can't sleep too. Nowadays, Amba, I have a good sleep. Because I feel sorry for the son who runs away, and I feel sorry for that pastor who opened and let someone, a scoundrel, come in there. Because I feel sorry for him. I know what's going to happen to him. That's why I feel sorry, really. You don't listen, what's going to do? You can only open your eyes, understand the whole dynamics of human beings. Okay? Have I answered your question? Do nothing. Don't worry about the other pastor. Don't go fight with him. Don't fight with him. Let him learn. Unless he comes to you. If he comes to you and says, listen, this fellow is from your church, come there. One pastor phoned me long time ago. He had the integrity to phone me. He said, I see these two people here, husband and wife, they were in your church, but they're coming to me. You know what I told him? Since you phoned me, keep them there with my permission and blessing. Maybe what I couldn't do for them, maybe you can do it. The fact that you phoned me, maybe you can do something for them. See? No problem. In fact, that there's a vacancy created in the church now for somebody else, man. This other boy working so hard in the church, there's a vacancy open now. I mean, don't close that fellow's opportunity now. This fellow must go. He must make full circle and come back. And when he does come back, you must wash the dishes. Not straight on a platform. This is our problem. Because of gifted people you think it'll uplift your church. Nah, your church will get destroyed. Okay, another question. Is it going? Is it going? Yes.
I think on many occasions, every one of us sitting here who've been long have had multiplicities. Many of the folk leave us. And it's deep down, for that moment, it does hurt because of not the time that you invested in them, but your life that you invested in them. And but when they go, something happens, as much as we think, most ministers, and we all included, the financial aspect affects us because it does affect our budget. But somehow new doors opened and new people come in. And when you invest your life in them and not just your time, then you see fruit. And after years, these people that went on, they wouldn't tell you this, but way down deep in their heart, they know who fathered them. They know who taught them. And when they go to a new home and they realize, hey, it's not the same. What my father taught me, what my spiritual father taught me, those things still linger on deep inside. So in Isaiah chapter 6, in the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord. There was a hindrance. There was a hindrance. Until that hindrance is gone. And sometimes we are compelled and we feel so upset to eradicate them, which we shouldn't do. But the anger and the frustration of the time we spent with them and the effort they've taken out of us and the running up and down for them, and they desert us and the families desert us and they take people with them. And they do cause disruption because they go around, but God vindicates us. God vindicates us. And I've learned something. Whenever somebody praises you, don't get happy. When they pat you on the shoulder, don't get happy. I'm reminded of one of the preachers who, after he preached, a lady came to him and said, "Wow, what a wonderful service." This preacher went home and wept. Second night, what a glorious service. Same lady. He went home and wept. The third night, this lady came to him and said, "Thank you for the word from God." And that made me think that, you know what? When God uses us, people assume behind the pulpit we are the same 6 days a week. We're not the same 6 days a week. The anointing comes from the Lord. But the 6 days a week, our expression is on Sunday, what we do 6 days a week. And most of the 6 days a week are taken away by people who abandon us in the time of need. But God has a way of replacing and sending. And as we equip people and take the effort to train them and take the time to equip them, they somehow replace those that went eventually, and the work goes on. I've seen that many, many years. Many, many years. And God has never let us down. So I think as pastors, when people leave us, don't despair. For that night, yes, it hurts us. We don't sleep. And sometimes we don't share with our wives because they get worried too. They hurt for us. But eventually, and in time, God does His work. I've learned that over the years. So pastors, those who leave us, let them go. But way down deep inside, they know what we taught them. And when they experience, and they will experience, because if you had the fire in the past that burnt the 3 Hebrew children, tried to burn the 3 Hebrew children, I believe that fire is still burning. If we pass the first struggle, click the memory button. Don't click the imagination button. The imagination button may not be there. It's just our imagination. Click the memory button and see how God brought us through then. He'll take us through further.
Is appreciated. Thank you very much. So I don't have to answer a question, but you're right. The observation and I think all of us must take note of that. Do not open your doors to somebody who has been disciplined. You might look at them as walking blessings, but they are in the best behavior in the beginning. Time eventually will show who they are. Okay? So thanks very much for that comment. Thank you, Pastor. All right. Closing, preparing you for your lunch that's coming up. In closing, talking about King Saul. How his genealogies were cut off because of disobedience. He never, no way in the history after that, we see anybody that comes from the genealogy of King Saul. Because disobedience cuts off the continuation. It's dangerous. And we as pastors, we must be like Jesus on the cross. He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They, really speaking, they don't know what they do. But focus on children. Perpetuation. Let me quickly give you some meanings of perpetuation. Quickly, if you can write fast. Actually, the basic meaning of perpetuation is duration. In other words, time. It's a time line. A timeline. And in genealogy, it's unending. It's not for now. So in definition also, it's an act of prolonging something. So when you work with children, you're actually prolonging ministry, you're prolonging culture, you're prolonging the Word of God because it's perpetuated. Children's ministry. If you think you're only going to work with adults, once you take them to cemetery, that's all they'll be over after that. No legacy. So our people also in the church must be progenitors, must be involved, because you know what happens in a family? Parents produce their own children, and their children produces their children, and so on. That is how in the kingdom. So don't let your church run and the people sitting there think you are the only soul winner. Every Christian who's coming to church must be a soul winner. In fact, you must be a witness to your neighbor. I am not saying put a tent, put a microphone, and preach to the neighbor. I'm talking about the way you live. Their leaves from their tree fall in your yard, don't go and call the police. Yes. When we first moved into our house in Westville, there was a neighbor unsaved. Hey, she complained about everything. We never in any way reacted negatively to them. Today, the eldest daughter comes and seeks help from us. I had an opportunity to minister to her just by her asking a question. This Good Friday week, what's it all about? Tell me. And I told her about Jesus. Very staunch Hindus. So, every member in the church are evangelists. Everyone must bring souls. Everyone must bring children. The pastor should be the teacher, the empowerer through the word. And I'll tell you something. I come from 10 crusades. Right, Pastor Jacob? Am I right? I was song leader. One of my bus stops I had to change. I thought the only way to evangelize must have a tent, must have a platform, must have loud speakers, and shout at the people. That's what I thought. That's the only way. Although people got saved, I got saved in a tent. But that's not the only way. And the most effective way is personally, your life. And empower the church to be soul winners. Not come like big shot and sit down. And people go to, before they come to church, they go to the mall, they go to the hairdressers, they go to silicone cover, and then they come to church sit like mannequins. And everyone say, where you bought that outfit? Where you bought that dress? How nice you look. How many souls did you bring? Okay. Synonyms. Like words for perpetuation, which means heritage and so forth. But the word constancy stands out. Constancy. It's not a one-time thing. You know, you just do it now, this program, and that's a big program, right? Everybody clapped hands. You did a great job. No. Perpetuation. Continue. Because there will be somebody, after you finish that children's ministry year-end, had a big thing going, children were blessed with gifts, and they did well on the platform, presenting the gospel, and so forth, and then, but there'll be one sour lemon in the church who will come and tell you, you know, why I bought such a cheap gift for my child? See, it happens. Now don't say next year, I'm not going to do this anymore. For over 50 years, I had that same thing over and over. I won't stop. I won't stop. Perpetuation comes from constancy, consistency. Keep at it. Another word, continuation. The other word is endurance. We are taught in the Bible, endure affliction. Endurance. Extension. Longevity of anything, the mandate of God. Longevity. Permanence. Survival. Vitality. Let me give you some opposites, antonyms for it. It means arrest. Not rest now, arrest. You know, in other words, arrest everything. Arrest the program. I don't know, one of the things that unfortunately happens to a lot of young people who are vibrant in the church, when they get married, finished, they're dead. All the energy gone somewhere else. No burden, no care. They carry on lovey-dovey for a while until they start fighting, then they call you to come in. The opposite to perpetuation is hindrance, obstruction. Oh, it's on the, all right, someone's very sharp there. Stop or stoppage. What are the meanings for perpetuation? Can mean also an addition, maintenance, I said extension, you got that? Vitality. Furtherance, another synonym for that. Furtherance, going on, increase. Just look at so many description. Persisting, preservation, production, prolongation, propagation, succession, sustenance, tenacity. That's already a mouthful, a jawful, headful. All that is to do with perpetuation, just that one word. And in church, that can continue if we work with children. In fact, give more credence, time, and money to children's ministry. More energy, more strength, more time. And I remember growing up in one of our bus stops, I heard this cliche. Some people used to say that the children are the church of tomorrow. That's inaccurate. It's wrong. Children are the church of today. They may be future leaders, but the children of today. Another cliche that was a negative description of what's happening in the church. I'm closing with this. The children's ministry in the church has become the Cinderella in the church. You know the story of Cinderella? Out of all the sisters, what they did to the younger sister. But in the end, you know Cinderella's story? She eventually met the prince. So the children who is sidelined can one day meet the Prince of Peace. Focus on the children. Pastors, don't think that Sunday school and children's ministry got nothing to do with you. You just got somebody to handle it. You make sure you got your finger on the pulse. In fact, I don't mind they close the men's fellowship. Don't mind to close the ladies' fellowship if you have to. But you close the children's ministry. You're closing your legacy. You're shutting off the genealogy of your ministry. Keep working until the last breath I take will be children. God bless you. Who's taking over?